Hey, this is Karanda with Carvel Digital, and today I want to show you how to build a simple funnel using WordPress and Thrive Architect so you can ditch ClickFunnels, save your money, and own your content. A lot of people think that WordPress is just for entire websites or having a blog, and the reality is that all you need to build a funnel is the ability to build landing pages with drag and drop technology. You want to be able to point and click and create a design that matches your brand and looks the way you want it and connect that to other services. And you can do that with WordPress. My goal here is not to show you every single step. This is not a tutorial for non-techies, but I do want to show you the process and how you can build a simple 2 or 3 page funnel on a platform that you own. The benefit of that is that if you have no website right now, you can get started for a fraction of the cost, and you'll be set up on a foundation that can grow and scale with your business as your business grows. And you won't be giving all your SEO juice away to third-party services. So before I dive into it, let me show you some of the software that I'm going to use for this. So these are all the things that I use and recommend, and I'm not going to go into a ton of detail about these. If you're interested in why I choose these services, I have a ton of articles on my website. You can go to carveldigital.com/blog, and you can search for any of these tools. You can also go to carveldigital.com/tools, and you can opt in and get my mini course that goes into great detail about these tools and why I use them. I'll just note that these are the things that avoid you going to what I call Tech Sadville. So these things have stood the test of time. They're amazing value for what you pay for them, and I'm going to leave it at that. So the particular thing I want you to pay attention to is that we've got your domain registrar, we've got video hosting so that you don't have to have the YouTube, end screen with all people directing to all other people's videos. You've got your hosting, which is not something that you want to be cheap about. And then you've got Thrive WordPress conversion tools. So the chief tool that I want to highlight here is they have a landing page builder that does some really extraordinary things. You can use the landing page builder to build pretty much any design that you want, and they have a ton of templates to get you started so that you don't have to start from scratch. But look at the pricing here. $19 a month or $228 a year compared to $99 a month for a base ClickFunnels account or $297 a month for the ClickFunnels full suite. So basically you're going to save $80 a month or $960 a year, or $278 a month for the full suite, or $3,336 per year. So that adds up, especially if you're just getting started and you're trying to keep your costs down. Your second option here, the one difference I'll note here is that if you're going to have your own WordPress site, you definitely want to keep that site maintained and up to date. So I can already hear you saying, I don't want to do that. I don't want to worry about that. I don't want to deal with that overhead. So this is the company that I have used for many years to maintain all of my WordPress sites so that I don't ever have to think about the tech side of updating plugins and things like that. So for $29 a month, you can have them just maintain everything. But if you want to pay a little bit more, $79 a month gets you their unlimited support. And that's going to allow you to send emails and get tasks done, and you can pretty much ask them to do anything that they can do in 30 minutes or less. So when you want to change your landing page, when you want to add text or add blog posts if you have a full website, whatever it is, if it's on your WordPress site, you can email them and they'll do it. So I doubt you're ever going to find somebody who's going to do that for your ClickFunnels site for $80 a month. So that's the two differences that I want to highlight. So with that, I want to jump in and show you the process, and I'm going to use a real funnel that I'm building out. I'm going to show you the process of spinning up a WordPress site, installing the page builder, and getting your simple funnel up and running. All right, let's get into it. The first step is I went and got a specific domain for this funnel. So in my case, I'm using buildmywebempire.com, and I'm going to target web professionals like developers and designers. And I just went to Hover, and I purchase this domain name. And if you're new to Hover, you can go and you can set up your account and you can buy a domain name really easily. If you have domains already and you want to transfer those, they make that really easy. You can go and you can set up an account with them and you can give them your logins to move your current domains and they will take care of everything. Next, I'm going to visit the Flywheel website, which is at getflywheel.com. And by the way, I'll have links to all of the tools that I'm referencing here below this video. So I'm going to go over to Flywheel, and if you're brand new to Flywheel, you can sign up by clicking this button. It'll take you about 60 seconds or less to set up your account, and you'll get, I think, a 14-day free trial, so you can try it out and they'll spin up an install of WordPress for you. Now, I already have an account, so I'm going to go over and I hit the Create New Site button, and I'm going to go ahead and just spin up a new site. I'm going to call it Build My Web Empire. All right, I've created a password and I'm going to start fresh with no blueprint. Choose a data center that's somewhat close to me, and then I have a bulk plan, so I'm just going to add this to my bulk plan. And now I'm going to wait a few minutes and that will be spun up and ready to go. Okay, that took about a minute. So this is what you'll see when your site is ready. And you'll note that privacy mode is turned on, which means in order to even see the site, you have this username and password that you have to enter. I'm just going to turn that off just for ease of use and simplicity. And then it'll give you the URL right here. And so we can go to that link. Another thing that I like about Flywheel is that they have SSL security, and you can turn that on, and that's just free with your hosting subscription. And it's really important for SEO and for security. Pretty much you need to have SSL so that your site is HTTPS instead of HTTP, and that's kind of a given these days on the web. It takes a few minutes for that password protection to go away. All right, cool. So now we've got just a blank site, and we want to log in by going to /wp login.php. All right, so now I'm in, and there's a few things that I'm going to want before I get started. The first thing is a base theme. So if you go to Appearance Themes, you'll have the default WordPress themes. I never use these, but I do keep one installed in case something happens with my theme and I need to test if it's related to the theme. I can revert back to one of these defaults. So I'm going to go ahead and keep 2019 and delete the rest. And I'll go ahead and update this one to the latest version. All right, and then I'm going to add new and then search for Astra, which is a nice lightweight theme framework that is free to use, and install that. And then I'll go ahead and activate that. All right, and Astra is also specifically designed to work with page builders, and that's another reason that I like it. It's also very lightweight and very fast. All right, so now I want to install my Thrive tools. So if you went and created an account, you got a Thrive membership, you have access to all their tools, and you need to install their plugin manager, and then from there you can install any of the rest of their plugins. Now, when you buy premium plugins, there's a little bit different process to install them. So what you're going to do is go to the Thrive Themes website and log into your account. And then you're going to grab this Product Manager plugin. Okay, I downloaded that to my desktop, and I'm going to click Add New, and then I'm going to use the Upload Plugin button. And I'm going to choose that plugin that I just downloaded. Click Install. and then activate. Okay. So now you're going to get this product manager menu item, and then you'll need to log into your account from here. So it's the same login that you used at the website. That's what you'll use to log in to this plugin. And actually, since I'm already logged in over here, it already knows that my account is active. So from here, I can go ahead and install any of their plugins that I need. So at minimum, you're gonna want to install the Thrive Architect plugin, and then optionally, you can install the Thrive Leads plugin. So I'm just gonna check those two. I'm gonna deselect any of these themes and install selected two products. All right, those are in, and now if we go to the plugins list, we should see those in there. So we have Thrive Architect, Thrive Leads, and Thrive Product Manager. Before we get too far into this, let's just do some basic setup with the WordPress install itself. So I'm going to go over to Settings and just go through and adjust some of these things. First of all, the tagline, you can either delete the default there and you can add your own. And you're going to want to make sure your time zone is correct. And then over here in permalinks, you don't want your links to have this question mark within the page ID. You want to set that to post name. And that should be the main things that you need to adjust. Now, before I jump into building pages, there's a few things that I'm going to want to set up first. So I'm going to go into the Thrive dashboard. And here you can manage a bunch of things about your Thrive products. So it shows you which plugins that you have installed. And the main thing I want to set up is API connections. I know that I'm going to need my landing page. If I have an email opt-in, I'm going to want that to connect to my email service provider, which in my case is ActiveCampaign. So you can actually make these connections here in your dashboard, and then you can use them within your pages without having to make that connection over and over again. So if you want to know how to do that, you can go back to the Thrive website where you're logged in, and you can just go to the knowledge base and search for ActiveCampaign API setup or something similar, and they'll have a tutorial about how to make that connection. So here we go, connect to ActiveCampaign through the API, and they've got a video that walks you through exactly how to do that. So I'm going to do that step right now. And you'll see in this list, there's just so many services that you can connect to. So if you're using Zoom, or you're using MailChimp, or you're using tons of different things that you need to connect to, you can do that right within this window here. Okay, so now that is connected and ready to go. The next thing I want to set up before I get into building pages is a scheduler. You're going to want to have people schedule with you, and you want to make sure you have an easy way for them to do that. So for this example, I'm going to use Calendly, and I've got two meeting types. I'm just going to use this 30-minute meeting type to demo for this. And if I log into my account and go to the edit screen, there's one thing you might want to set up, which is that when someone actually books with you, you can send them to a confirmation page. So you can edit this, and you can use Calendly's confirmation page, or you can redirect to an external site. So if your process is someone books with you and then they go to a thank you page, or they go to an application page, you can then put that URL in here to direct them to that page once they've scheduled. So you'll want to have this link handy. So I'll click on here and I'll have this exact link. And you'll want to save that link so that you can put that on the button in your page. All right, so let's go back and start building up our pages. I'm going to go over to pages here, You've got a default privacy policy page, which is required if you're doing ads, and it's just a good policy, a good practice in general to have a privacy policy page. So let's preview that example and see what it looks like. Cool. So there's a nice template here that you can edit for your own use. And there's a sample page, which we'll go ahead and get rid of. And I'm going to create a new page. And for this new page, I actually want to use the landing page builder. So I'm just going to give it a title, Build My Web Empire. I'm going to save that as a draft, and then I'm going to go ahead and launch Thrive Architect. All right, so now we've got a basic page, and the first thing you want to do is come over here to the settings. And if you've got some branding defaults, then that's something you can set up in your advanced settings. So now you've got a basic page, and we want to come over here and we want to change the template. So when we do that, you get all these landing pages to choose from. And it's not just single landing pages, it's actually branded sets of landing pages that you can start with that go together. So you can have a landing page, a thank you page that have a similar style, and then you can just change the elements that you need to change to fit with your branding. So let's see, let's filter this and say we want a video-based page. And then you can see there are sets that go together. So you have this bright template, and you've got this kind of dark blue and gray template with video course setup. And so you can look through these and you can kind of choose the one that is closest to your branding that you're going to have to edit the least, or you can start with more of a blank template. So I'm going to go with the bright templates here because they're nice and simple, but they're very bold and it's really easy to change the colors. So I'm going to start with a short video sales page and choose that as my template. All right, so now you can come in here, and I'm not going to go into super detail about how to edit these. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can click in here, you can change the text, you can come in here, you can change out icons. There's a lot of built-in icons within this framework, so you can explore those. If you want to change this background color, you can come in and highlight the background section. One nice thing in Thrive is that when you're drilled into different things, you can come up here to kind of zoom out and focus on what you want to focus on. So this particular text is inside of a button, which is inside of a content box, and you can see by the outlines kind of where you are and where you're focused. So I'm going to click on this background section and go into background style, and then I can change the color here. And you can also save your colors so that you have your brand colors easily accessible. The other thing I want to do is change out this video. So you can use either a YouTube or Vimeo or Wistia URL. So I'm going to grab my Vimeo URL. And it's going to tell me that it's not going to display because I've limited the options so that the video will only display on certain URLs. So once this is actually live, then that video will show up just fine. You can come down here and you can add in your testimonials. You could add in some video testimonials. Let's say you wanted to put in a couple of columns of video testimonials. You could come in here and grab some columns. And I want half and half. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab a video element. And it's nice, you can search to grab the element that you need. And then click Insert Video. And then you can drop your YouTube link for your video in here. And you can insert those testimonials. So if you need to learn how to actually edit and use the page builder, there's a ton of tutorials on YouTube. There's a ton of resources in the Thrive dashboard, so I'm not going to dwell on that. All right, so let's say that you have your page all built out the way you want it. Let's actually change this to this button. We're going to say schedule your strategy session. And then I'm going to focus on the button, and I'm going to go over here. And then here's where you would change that link. So I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to drop that Calendly link in and click apply. And I'm just going to save while I'm at it. Another nice thing about this builder is that you can use these buttons to preview how your design is going to look at different sizes. And it should be pretty mobile optimized by default. Let's see how the mobile version looks. That's great. When you're in one of these modes, let's say you were looking at the tablet size and something was a little bit off, or maybe this text is too big, you can actually go in and you can change the size of this text. So let's say you wanted it to be a little smaller, and that change would only be applied to the tablet size and smaller. So when you go back to your preview size here on the desktop, it'll keep that original desktop text size. So it makes it really easy to mobile optimize, which is super important. All right, so let's preview our site. Okay, so let's assume we've added our logo up here, changed the text, got our video playing. We've got the schedule your strategy session button, which I did put the link into. So when we click that, we go over to the schedule page. And then if we go ahead and schedule, we've got that setting that will take someone who schedules and send them back to the page of your choice. So let's go ahead and publish this page. Let's go ahead and create the page that we want people to go to after they've scheduled. So this could be a thank you page, or it could be an application page for someone to give you a little bit more information before they actually meet with you. So I'm going to go back to our site here and to pages, and I'm going to create a couple more pages. One is going to be our application page. All right, we created the application page, and I'm going to click into this title field and just check the permalink, which is the URL that it's going to go to. And you can edit that to be whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to make this say apply and save, and then that will be the link that we send people back to. So I'll copy that, go back to Calendly, and say on the confirmation page, I want to redirect, and I want to go back to my sites. Now, in reality, we want to finish the page, and we want to launch the site and get that final URL and put that in here. But I'll go ahead and save that and close. And now for our application page, we might just want a plain page. You've got a couple of options when it comes to how to do a form on your site. If you want your form to be within WordPress, you can grab a Forms plugin, add new, and WP Forms is a nice free plugin that you can use to create really nice looking forms. So you can install that, you can create your form, and you can embed that on your page. Another alternative would be to use something like Wufoo or Typeform and create your form in there and then embed that into your page. If you do it within WordPress, that's just one less thing, one less software tool that you have to manage. So if you wanted to create your first form, they make it really easy and drag and drop. So I'm going to start with simple contact form, just because it's going to have some of the base things that I want to know, like name and email, and then I can just get rid of this and then you can start dragging in your questions. And go back to add fields here, and you could ask them things like their phone number, and you could ask them what their biggest problem is, all kinds of things. So you might choose paragraph text and say, you know, what is your biggest struggle in your business? So whatever you want to ask, then you can save that. And then we want to go back to our page. And if you wanted to have the same kind of branded look with your Thrive Architect pages, then we can go ahead and make this a Thrive page. And I'm going to grab one of these bright landing page templates. I'm going to do something super minimal here, like this one, content page. So we can change this background to match the brand. And I'm actually going to add that to my color palette to make it easy to find next time. And then you could say, tell us about your business. And you can delete anything that you don't need down here. And then we're just going to grab a WordPress content box. And you go to insert, and then you can just add your form. Sometimes the form insert doesn't work with the page builders, so I'm going to go over to the forms plugin. And there's a short code here that allows you to embed that. So I'm going to copy that. And now I'm going to go back to insert, and I'm just going to copy that, paste that short code in. Click save. Delete this extra stuff. And then I'm going to preview this. Cool. So now you've got your application page that you can customize. And the last page you might want in your funnel is a confirmation page. So I'm going to go back to pages, and I'm going to add one more. And I'll call this thank you. And I'm going to save the draft so that the next time I click in here, I can adjust this permalink to whatever I want it. And I'm just going to say thanks. And I'll go ahead and publish. And I'll go ahead and publish all of these pages so that we can see them at the permalink URLs. So I'm going to select my application page, my home page, landing page, and my thank you page. Bulk action edit, click apply, and change the status to publish for all of these, and click update. Okay. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is just edit my thank you page to make sure it matches the style of my other pages. So I'm going to click directly on the Edit with Thrive Architect button, and that's going to take me into the page builder edit mode. And I'm going to grab one of these bright pages. I'll do this confirmation page here as a template. And then I'll quick change this background color. Do that. And then this would say something like, your strategy session is confirmed. And then you could give people instructions for what they should expect or how to prepare for the call. You could do a little thank you video. You could do whatever you want on this page. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Okay, so when someone fills out our form, we want them to get redirected to this thank you page. So let's set that up. Back over here in your forms, you have the edit button, and then I want to check out the settings. And in confirmation, we want to go to a URL. And we have /thanks as our page. So I'm just going to put that, I'm going to leave off the base URL, and I'm just going to put a /, which means start at the beginning, and I'm going to put thanks, and that way we don't have to readjust this. Now, if you want to redirect someone to a URL from this plugin, you need to upgrade. So when you click Add New Confirmation, they're going to ask you to upgrade to Pro, and it looks like you can get 50% off. Now, I was trying to do a free resource for this, but if you're going to do a paid plugin, then the one that I've been using for a long time and recommend is called Gravity Forms, and you can go to gravityforms.com and you can grab that plugin and upload it, very similar to what we did with the Thrive plugin, and you can use that to create your forms, and it has that built-in redirect. So you can use this and you can upgrade, or you can grab Gravity Forms, or you can use Typeform or Wufoo. Any of those are going to have this ability to redirect to the page that you want. All right, so the flow is someone's going to go to your main landing page here, and they're going to watch your video, and they're going to be so enthralled, they're going to immediately book a strategy session. So this will take them to your calendar. They're going to choose a time on your calendar, and you're going to set your calendar to direct them back to your application page if you have one. And you're going to have a form on your application page, and once they've filled out the form and submitted, then that form will then redirect them to this thank you /confirmation page. All right, so let's go ahead and make this live on the URL. Now for that, I'm going to need to go over and grab some information from Hover about my URL, and I'm going to need to go back to Flywheel here. And if you come over here where the URL is showing on the main dashboard, you can change it, and right here you can get DNS help where it will walk you through how do I point my domain at my new website. So if we open that up, it gives you the walkthrough for a bunch of different services. So in my case, I would click on Hover, and I would just go through and follow those instructions. So the first thing is we need to change the actual domain name in the settings, and then we need our IP address. So I'm going to go over to Hover, and these are the default settings. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add another domain, and because I like to minimize mistakes, I'm just going to copy this from here. And I'm going to paste it right in here. And I'm going to make this the primary URL. And I'm also going to add the www version, but that's not going to be primary. It's just going to default to this right here. So I'm going to add that domain. And now we've got a little alert here that says we're not quite done yet. The next thing we have to do is grab the IP address. And we want to go over to our DNS, and we want to edit these records to point to that IP. And I'm going to change that, and then I'm going to edit this, add in that new IP address, and because we added that www, I'm also going to add one more record, and it's going to be a CNAME record, and it's going to add www as the host name. And then for the target, I'm just going to paste in that base URL. And that's going to make sure that if someone types in www.buildmywebempire.com, it's just going to redirect to the right place. So we're going to add that record and then pop back over to Flywheel and click refresh and see how that's going. Now, usually with Hover, it will change over within about 5 to 15 minutes. So you can keep refreshing this and checking DNS status to see what's going on with that. So if you click on check DNS status, that's already updated and everything's pointed to Flywheel. And if you click on details, it'll give you just a little bit more information, because there's lots of different providers, internet providers, that have to be updated, but you can see that most of these are already correctly pointed. So that means we should be able to go to buildmywebempire.com. And now we need to correctly set this to show our landing page as the home page. So let's go back to our settings. And so we changed the URL, which means we have to re-log in at the correct URL. All right, so here's our options, and we're going to go into the reading settings. And now that we have multiple pages, we can choose what our home page is going to display. So we're going to choose static page, and then we're going to select this main page to be our home page. And now if we go back and put in that URL, you've got a landing page. So that's the basic structure and setup that you would do to use WordPress for your funnel. There's a couple of more things that I want to show you that you can do with this Thrive Architect tool. So let's go into editing this page, and let's say that someone watched your video but they weren't quite ready to take the step of booking a call with you, but you might be able to get them on your email list. So you can add an opt-in and invite someone to subscribe to your updates. You can do this two different ways. You can use the built-in lead generator settings in the Thrive Architect plugin, or you can also use the Thrive Leads plugin, which gives you a lot more power and flexibility about how to do your lead generation, and it also gives you reporting tools. It will tell you what is your opt-in rate, and it'll allow you to do things like A/B test different forms against each other. So that's a little bit more advanced. If you're just getting started, then you can stick with using the lead gen features. And so let's say in this section, you've got your testimonial videos. Let's say you wanted to add lead gen right here. So I'm going to grab a lead gen element, and then it's going to give me a form, and then you can style this form by clicking edit form elements, and you can do things like change the color of the sign up button, you can change the text, you can edit the styles, you can change the text size. So you can do all those things, and I'm not going to get too deep into that. What I do want to show you is how to actually connect this form to your ActiveCampaign account. So I'm going to click Done, and then I'm going to click Connect Form to Service. And now that connection that I set up earlier is right there for us to use. So I'm going to choose the mailing list. You don't necessarily need to choose a form. And then if there's any tags that you want added to this person to tell you like where they came from, you can add that. So I will usually add something like a form tag and say they came from Build My Web Empire. And then you can decide which fields you want to include, and then what happens when they actually subscribe. So you can reload the page, you can redirect them to a custom thank you page, or you can just show a success notification. All right, so now we've got a lead gen element in here so that if someone's not ready to take the full next step of booking a call, you can at least ask for their email address. If you wanted to be more advanced about this and use the Thrive Leads plugin, you would go to your dashboard here, go to Thrive Leads, and you can create different kinds of lead gen elements. So you can create pop-ups, and then you could add a button that someone could click to make the pop-up come up, and they can enter their details. You can have automated pop-ups that pop up after someone's been on the page for a certain amount of time, and you want to be sure to capture those. You can do exit intent, where someone scrolls like they're going to leave your page, then that will cause the pop-up to appear. And you can do short codes, which is creating your lead generation form. And then if you go back to the page and you go search for lead generation, one of the elements that you could choose is lead generation short code. So that's one that you could drag in, and then you can insert a short code that you created from the Thrive Leads plugin. So that's a quick overview. There's much more documentation available through the Thrive Themes website and on YouTube. The last thing I want to show you is just how to quickly set up the SSL feature on your site so that when someone loads, you're not getting this warning that your site isn't secure. You definitely don't want that. So to do that, we're going to go back over to the Flywheel dashboard, and we're going to click on Enable SSL. We want to use the free version, and then you're just going to give them some basic information. And that is basically it. It'll take a few minutes, and then you'll see this is enabled. That took about 2 minutes. I hit the refresh. Now SSL is active. Once you see this is active, you want to go over to Advanced. And you want to turn on, oh look, they turn it on by default. You used to have to do this manually, but now they'll turn on this force HTTPS, and that will make sure that all your URLs in your site load as the secure versions. So if we refresh this, it should give us our little padlock. So there it is. If you are someone who is familiar with WordPress, you've worked with WordPress in the past, and the screens that you saw in this video looked a little bit unfamiliar to you, that's because there's been a major update for WordPress to include sort of starting to try to include drag and drop editing using blocks. But if you prefer the old look of the WordPress editor, then you can install the Classic Editor plugin, and you can kind of go back to what you're used to. And this is something that, so search for Classic Editor and install and activate. And now when you go into your pages, you'll see an editor that looks more like what you're used to with WordPress. That's something that I do on all my websites just because I've been using WordPress forever, and I'm not quite ready for change, and I'm not using the block editor anyway. So I wanted to add that on there in case you have that sort of disconnect and that cognitive dissonance. I hope I was able to give you a taste of how you can use WordPress and some of the tools that I use to create your own funnel without having to pay $100 or $300 a month for ClickFunnels. Now, this is a simple process, but it's not necessarily an easy process. If you're someone who's completely new to tech or very uncomfortable with tech, it's going to require a learning curve. You're either going to do that learning curve with a tool where you're outsourcing and giving away all your content to a third-party platform, or you can have that learning curve on a platform with a suite of tools that are going to serve your business and grow with your business, as big as you want to grow it. So I'm not saying that there's not going to be work involved, but if you're going to work hard anyway, then I prefer to do it with something that is going to give me a solid foundation technically that's going to allow me to grow my business. So that was my hope in demonstrating this for you today. And once you have your templates and your branding set up for these pages, it makes it very, very simple to duplicate those pages to use for other funnels or to do A/B testing, which is something I didn't get into, but Thrive also makes it ridiculously easy to copy an entire landing page, change some things about it, maybe the button text, the colors, the headline, make some tweaks and changes, and then it will allow you to actually run an A/B test and say, hey, I want you to switch between these two pages for 2 weeks or for a certain number of impressions, and then automatically choose the winner. And that's one of the reasons that I really love this suite of tools, is that they are marketers and they're technologists, and they make tech to make marketing easy. So I hope you like this video. If you want to get more in depth on the tools that I use, you can go to carveldigital.com/tools, and you can go ahead and sign up for the mini course where I go into depth about many of the things I talked about, Hover and ActiveCampaign, and more about page builders and what you can do with them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the internet.